We'll start with Michael Lev, Arizona Daily Star.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
How did this opportunity come about for you?
Probably when I first started playing football. Football has been such an amazing experience to me. It's given me everything I have in my life, an amazing wife, two amazing kids. So just being able to give back to football. I'm 51 years old. I've done football my entire life. So you create opportunities and relationships. And if you do it right, is what I'm going to teach our young men, you will have an opportunity to pursue your passion. So, yeah, it's been a long journey. I've been coaching my entire life.
So you've been involved in football since you stopped playing, but you haven't been an on-field coach on a full-time basis like you are now. What appealed to you about getting back on the field?
Getting a chance to develop young people in sport in particular, to be better husbands, to be better dads, and just watching some of the things and how kids are being developed. Everybody's doing a drop step now. Nobody's really developing the young people, especially the mental gym. And so it was an opportunity for me to attack my passion and get back on the grass. And yeah.
What were the main duties that you had at the NFLPA?
Developing relationships with former players, active players, disseminating information about the collective bargaining agreement, visiting the clubs, finishing marketing deals, just a bunch of things, really just ratifying the CBA. The one we had 49.9 million at the time. So being able to disseminate information and communicate with people. At the end of the day, how do you communicate with a guy? You go into the Colts locker room, you have Peyton Manning, you have Reggie Wayne. How do you communicate with those guys to ratify a vote? And that was a skill set that I was blessed with, and I use it as much as I can.
And how do you take that skill set and apply it to the job that you're going to have now?
Continue to be yourself. Warren Moon told me when I started working for the NFLPA, I switched over to the marketing department after Gene Upshaw passed and D. Smith came in. He wanted me to go to marketing. And I'm like, Warren, I don't know anything about marketing. He goes, yeah, but you and you know people. Just be Scotty Graham, you'll figure it out. So, I've been around a lot of people that helped me develop. Chris Carter, when I got this job, he said, Scotty, you're going to be amazing at it. He said, you got a great foundation. Continue to be Scotty.
Next question, Justin Spears, Arizona Daily Star.
Coach, you were most recently in Tempe. From your perspective, what did you think about the Territorial Cup game?
It's real. I know a little bit about Territorial. I did play at the Ohio State University, and this thing is vicious. I mean, I do talk to Desmond Howard and Cato June occasionally, but this thing is real. It's just different. I mean, I don't think I necessarily hate Michigan. These two teams hate each other. The team up north hates the Cats, and the Cats don't like them.
And the 70-7 loss, you were on the winning side of it, but now, jumping sides, how important is it, or I guess, how important is it to get back to, beating ASU and not having a 70-7 loss?
Well, I didn't jump anywhere. This was an opportunity, and it's an opportunity I worked for by doing fellowships and developing relationships with people around the NFL. So I didn't jump aside, and the side that I'm on is Jed Fish's staff, and we're going to concentrate on every team. That happens to be a team we're going to play right before Thanksgiving. I think we're going to play earlier this year. This program will not be dedicated to one win or loss. It's about how we do it, and that game will be easy.
And which coach has influenced you the most as a football player?
Bobby Turner. He's the running back coach at the 49ers now. He was in Atlanta. If you look at some of the top rushing performances over the last decade, Bobby Turner's been involved with it. Prior to that, obviously, you had Terrell Davis in Denver. Bobby Turner's just the best. And that's who I did my internship with. And that's what put me over the top to go, I want to do this. And I told him, quote unquote, I want to be a young Bobby T.
Next question, Jay Gonzalez, Fox Sports 1450.
Coach, so recruiting is such a big part of what you're going to be doing now. How do you get up to speed, and what are the kind of relationships that you think you already have to build on to become a good recruiter?
Without going through my text, I mean, from Matthew Hatchett, these 7-on-7 camps, all my former teammates, Taylor Kelly, who I mentored at Arizona State, these guys have 7-on-7s. Maurice Jones-Drew, they're sending me the kids. So obviously, I talked to Coach Powell, Deron Montgomery. He's my right or left-hand guy that Coach has assigned me to, and he's been outstanding. So just navigating through the relationships, but I do have them. It's just how you bring them in. and to manage them.
I've asked the other coaches this as well. You know, you're a new staff with guys who were brought here by other coaches. You know, what's your way? How are you going to build the relationships you need to build with these guys to make sure that everybody's kind of on board with what you guys are trying to do as a coaching staff?
Well, just continue to be myself and be original. I think transparency is the number one thing you can do. And these young people are ready for the truth. And when you sugarcoat it is when you kind of lose them. And for me, I've dealt with, over my last 7 years, with student athletes from a variety of sports, from women's golf. I managed the national championship in 2017. Olivia McCaffrey wants to know the truth. And just like Michael Wiley wants to know the truth. So if you tell them the truth, I think you got a chance. And if you love on them, you come out of space of love, you got an opportunity.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question, Greg Hansen, Arizona Daily Star. Greg, you're muted.
Well, Scotty, what was it like when you told Ray Anderson you were going to come to Tucson?
He was really happy. I mean, it was no secret in Tempe that I wanted to get back on the grass. It wasn't like, it was done at midnight. Ray knew that. He blessed me going out and doing the minority internship with the 49ers. Last year, I did one with the Chargers. I went to several clinics on my time off, so it wasn't a secret. And he knew I wanted to be back on the grass, and it was a great opportunity. He knows Coach Fish really well through Brian Billick. So Ray was really happy. I mean, I'm sure he'd rather me be in Tempe, but how would you not be the leader he is without being happy for somebody with a new opportunity? So Ray was really happy.
Who are your NFL running back coaches who impacted you?
My Bobby T, Tyron Willingham. We talk all the time. Tyrone used to be the head coach of Washington, Stanford. He was my running back coach for the Vikings. And Gene Huey, who was in Indianapolis with Adrian James. And Jim Anderson in Cincinnati. He had Corey Dillon. He had Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy on the same team in 1997 in Cincinnati. So I've always been around coaches that were teachers, and I've always been kind of a gym rat around those guys. I like being in the locker room. I like being on the board. I like teaching.
Thank you.
Next question, we'll go back to Justin Spears.
Coach, what's your recruiting philosophy? What are you looking forward? What are you looking for in guys and players that you can bring to Tucson?
Football players. I like smart players. I like players that are inspired to do more, have hobbies, that play different sports, and it be a good fit culturally because you win with good people. And ultimately, we want people to fit our culture. I don't really care how good they are. I believe I can coach them if they have some skills. And one thing that's unique about running backs, they've been running backs their entire lives. So for me, it's just to make sure I polish it, steer it in the right direction. And, I want to align them, know their assignments. I want them to be themselves. And then once they get to the secondary, they have to use that God-gifted talent to get them to the end zone.
And having lived in Arizona over these last few years, what's your outlook on just the number of players that the state has produced at the high school level?
It's amazing when you look at, there's always somebody. When you look at an NFL team that has played in Arizona and in college in the bowl season, they actually emphasize that a lot. So, it's amazing how many great players, especially skilled players, that are from Arizona.
And lastly, for me, what's your overall outlook on just the running back group as a whole? Last year is one of the deepest groups, and this year, even with losing Gary Brightwell, it's looking like it's going to have a lot of.
I got a chance to meet all the young folks, and they're just bright, bushy-eyed, and they're ready to roll. I'm excited. I have an excellent room. The cupboard is full, as they say, of young, good people. Michael Wiley came in to visit. Nathan Tilford came in today, and then Stevie Rockers, obviously my youngster, and he's got a lot of energy, pop and sizzle. He's going to be a good player.
Next question, we'll go back to Michael Lev.
Yeah, you just referenced Nathan Tilford. I believe that you'll be the 5th running backs coach he will have played for here. Is that a negative? Is that a difficult thing for a player to kind of, negotiate? Do you sympathize with a guy like that at all, having to go through so much transition over the course of his career?
But Nathan's a very mature young man. I talked to him this morning, as a matter of fact. I think with love and caring and being consistent, I'll bring out the best in him. We met with him this morning for about 25 minutes. And I think he's a really, really interesting young man. The tape doesn't tell the whole story for this young man. So I'm looking forward to work with him and finding out what he is really good at and what he believes in, and developing and nurturing that and really get him assignment driven. You're right. It is tough having 4 or 5 different coaches. That's tough. So my job is just to work with him, figure out what he does. We'll get a chance to see him move around a little bit in the next couple of days and really get him to own what he's doing.
Do you ever forget the fundamentals of running back play? Is it all just going to come back to you real quick, do you think?
It's a great question, but I watch games every single week. I could watch running backs all day long to go, okay, look at the footwork that started there. So I'm kind of a junkie that way. Did you see what he just did? He didn't see that. I mean, where are your eyes? So I'm constantly reviewing. And they got this new angle right now in high school where they put a drone over it. It's unbelievable. I'm like, this is a whole new world now. I get to see everything. So you can't tell me you didn't see that, because if I see it, you can see it too. So yeah, it's exciting to be new, but not new, if that makes sense. It's like riding a bike. It's relationships, which I've been doing for the last 35 years, and teaching, which I do every single day, and being yourself. And I'm comfortable being my skin, again, and making sure that young people, undergrad, master's degrees are important. Advanced degrees are important. Smart kids are important. Stevie Rocker is a smart kid. And having a conversation with a young person like that is really refreshing to me. And like I said, I have a great room and they're interesting. And the key part of our pillar is being original. Coach Fish says, we want to be original, be yourself. And I'll let them know we need to back it off. That doesn't mean we don't have rules, but just be yourself.
Coach Fish just hired a strength coach from Alabama, which obviously has been the most successful program in the country for the last decade plus. You're from Ohio State. I mean, among the Blue Bloods, what is something from your experience at Ohio State that you can bring to Arizona?
Grit, passion, control, aggravation, political, intelligent, diversified, and being yourself.
Thank you.
Next question will go back to Greg Hansen.
Scotty, when you arrived at Ohio State, was it in the middle of the coaching change between Earl Bruce and John Cooper?
I played a whole season with Earl, and then they fired him. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you I knew what integrity was. It's a word we use a lot. But Rick Bay was the athletic director, and they told him to fire Earl Bruce, and he said, I quit. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm like, this guy actually quit. I mean, I didn't know what integrity meant at the time. It was a word, but I saw it. I mean, he literally wouldn't fire Earl Bruce. Coach Cooper came in, Coletto, that staff, Bill Young, and it was really interesting. But I stayed. I was thinking like everybody else, I'm leaving. The coaching staff that was here last is gone. I don't know these new folks, and they're coming from the Pac-12. It was probably Pac-10 at the time. But I stayed, and it worked out well for me.
So you've got the best experience possible in talking to your new kids.
Oh, yeah. Change is inevitable. And I think that one thing we don't do enough as parents is change is okay if you're prepared. Change is scary when you're not prepared. Just like when you get a pop quiz. If you're prepared, that's not scary. And then we got to stop saying we're scared. It's just different. I'm nervous. But fear is something that was never built you. You created yourself. Most little kids thought they could fly until they realized gravity didn't hold you when you jumped off the couch.
Are there any more questions for Coach Graham? Yes, we'll go back to Michael Lev.
What impressed you the most about what Herm Edwards was able to do? Really kind of hit the ground running up there at Arizona State.
Hiring a good staff right away. Hiring Joe Conley, I was part of that. Your strength coach, as you see, with our coach T.O., I call him the original T.O., that's important because he's going to be with the kids a lot. That's one of the most important decisions I think any head coach has to make, who is spending time with the kids.
What are the traits that you look for in a running back?
Vision, patience, controlled aggravation, because you can't run mad all the time. You got to run smooth. Johnny Rowland, which I failed to mention, was one of my running back coaches as well. I think he played for the old Cardinals, but I had him with the Jets, and he said, runners run hard. Runners run smooth, blockers block hard. So just smooth and efficient.
And were you a fullback back in the day when you first started in college?
Again, I got to give credit to Bobby T. I learned both, and he would threaten the tailbacks. I said, I'm gonna put Scotty in the game, and they would go, what? I mean, because I did play fullback. I did what I had to do to help our team win. I came there as a tailback. I got a little bigger. I came there at about 195. I got up to about 225. My senior year, I was about 225. So I got big enough. And Coach T, he told me, you got to know both positions. He made me take both tests, which made me better. And so when I did my my fellowship, when I see Kyle Uslak, the fullback there, I'm like, okay, Coach T hadn't changed. He goes, nope. You can do everything the rest of the tailbacks can do, because you were a tailback at one point, and then somebody said you're slow. And you're like, I can't be the tailback. Nope, you're not run fast enough.
Have you been assigned a specific recruiting territory?
No. We're still figuring. We'll see if that's a Coach Fish question.
Yeah.
So I'm a lane control guy, and I stay in my lane.
All right. Thank you.
Final question for Coach Graham. We'll go to Rich Herrera, Wildcats Radio 1290.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Can you talk about this? I'm trying to come up with the right word, maybe eclectic staff of young guys, veterans, people with college experience, NFL experience, and what's been the dynamic of this group as you guys try to all get on the same page under a new head coach, under a new roof?
Leadership starts there. And we have a leader that knows lead. He knows how to lead. He knows how to build a program. And Coach Fish he's outstanding. I've been around a couple of them in my life. Denny Green, Kyle Shanahan. He's just a guy that's going to lead. And I think the people he's hired understand leadership and levels and what we're going to do and how to be good soldiers. And I love our staff, what we're doing. And those who are intimately involved, they go, whoa. And I'm like, okay, we don't really worry about what other people say. We know what we have. We want to make sure we keep that family atmosphere, and it starts with our leadership and how we do things. How's
the communication been amongst the folks getting to know each other?
Organically. We got in touch with each other on Twitter, me and Coach Pow, and then Deron Montgomery, we text, but we was taking his drive across country from Georgia. So I started off with text messages, following guys on Twitter as the staff was getting put together, and Jimmy and I text, and we got into we traded numbers, and then, once I passed my recruiting test, people started coming in. So I would have conversations with Coach Pow, and then obviously with Jimmy.
Could you have picked a better spot to take your next step than a staff like this?
I'm a faithful and religious person, and I think God is funny sometimes in my mind. Like, who would have thought? But then you think about it, like, that was pretty smart. When I got hired at Arizona State, people were like, why would you take an administrator? I mean, why would you take a corporate guy and make him an athletic director? Worked out pretty good. And then so you ask Coach Fish the same thing. It's going to work out pretty good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Coach.